Now, what could make a car more exciting? A big engine, massive wheels, low stance, or you could just go topless. What if I told you you could drive the CLE Cabrio free of cost? Why don't you watch my review of the CLE Cabrio, and then towards the end of it, I'll tell you just how you can do that. Let me take you back to Mercedes school. What comes after A, B and C? Is it D? It's the CLE. The CLE is a new segment of cars for Mercedes-Benz, and it doesn't broaden the portfolio, it actually shortens it. Mercedes-Benz is consolidating its lineup, and what they've done is they've axed the C and the E Coupe and Cabriolet, and instead of that you get the CLE Cabrio and Coupe. In India you only get it as a Cabriolet, you don't get the Coupe here, and it's available in the C300 petrol, and it gets 4MATIC, which is all-wheel drive. So interesting times for Mercedes, because they had a very wide portfolio and that got confusing to a lot of people. They've tried to simplify it, and this car is the beginning of that effort. Because the CLE Cabrio is not about its 0 to 100 times and apex hunting on a racetrack. It's all about having a good time. So, am I having a good time? Let's start with the way it looks, and for that, let me just pull over. So refreshingly pretty, isn't it? Mercedes' new design language suits its sports cars so much more than its SUVs. The smooth lines, the low slung profile, it's so much in contrast to its edgy Bavarian rival. I think the CLE looks absolutely pretty. Let's start with the front end of the car. You see this grille, now it's got these tri-star elements instead of the dots for the diamond grille. Looks really nice, and there's no denying it is a Mercedes-Benz. You're not gonna miss it from a distance. These headlights, these are new digital headlights, and each headlight apparently has over 1 million pixels. It lights up the road like it's Christmas, and I've tried it at night. Looks absolutely beautiful at night. Lights up everything in front of you. These bumpers, nice and aggressive. The car looks really nice from the front, but move towards the side and it gets even cooler. Those 19-inch wheels, these are multi-spoke wheels, and they look really nice on the CLE. Gives it a solid stance, low belt line, and you might have noticed I've got the roof up. That's because the CLE shows a neat trick with the key. You press the unlock button and the roof will open on its own. This is going to run through a lot of batteries for your key, but isn't that a cool trick to show? Now that that roof is tucking in, it takes 20 seconds for the roof to go in and out. Once that it's tucked in, the rear of the CLE in all its glory presents itself. Look at this stunning sight. Let's show you the rear of the car now. That neat belt line flows into the tail lamps that are connected by this black plastic strip. Doesn't illuminate though. Looks kind of weird on such a gorgeous car. Now, it's got two badges, the CLE 300 and the 4MATIC, which signifies a 2-liter turbo-petrol mild hybrid, sending power to all four wheels. Let me show you the boot, because the CLE is actually quite practical. With that roof tucked in, you get 295 liters of boot space. But with the roof up, you get 385 liters of space, and there's a neat button over here, which I'll show you in the details. You press that and a flap opens up to create a lot more space. There's another button in the boot to flip the rear seats down so that you can carry long items in the boot. But then you've got to have the roof up for that. Now let me show you the interiors of this car, because it's actually very nice. The interior of the CLE is standard Mercedes fare, and that's actually a good thing, because the quality of materials, the fit and finish, just hear that door thud in. This is a Cabrio, so there's a lot of strengthening that's happening in the door, and that's why it's heavy and it's very long. Anyway, back to the interiors. I start the car and you'll barely hear the engine get up to life. That's because of the mild hybrid system. It's got a 17 speaker Burmester system in the car. Sounds really nice with the roof up and no wind getting into the cabin. You'll really enjoy your music. The quality of materials, fit and finish is top quality. The textures are top quality. You get this large vertically oriented infotainment screen. You get a digital instrument cluster and a heads-up display. Now this screen, you can connect your infotainment, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto wirelessly. You get large cup holders here. You get buttons for your roof controls. You can control it through your key, but there are buttons to open and shut the roof. You also get a button for the wind deflector. 3 AC vents, 2 on the other side, and a nice open air experience. Now this is a Cabriolet, so you're going to get a lot of space in the backseat. But before that, I want to show you one more thing. You get an air scarf over here. You see these small vents at the back of the headrest. It sends warm air while you're driving. Now in this weather, now the sun is out, so it's pretty warm, so I don't need it. But in cold climates, it's a very pleasurable experience, I suppose. Besides this, you get cooled and heated seats. So the driver's seat is very comfortable, so is the passenger seat. But how are the last 2 seats? Let's find that out. To get to the rear seat, you pull this lever and the seat slides up front. It's quite easy to get into the back seat, especially with the roof tucked in. Now that you're sitting in the back seat, it's set to my driving position. I pull this back and notice an interesting thing that the seat does. When it notices my leg touching the seat, it will automatically adjust to pull it a little forward. Soft top convertibles were an important part of history in the evolution of the automobile. Early in the 20th century, when cars made very little power, there was no concept of a roof. It's when speed picked up and passengers needed to be protected from the elements is when the fabric and leather roofs were invented. It went out of favor with hard bodies and progress, but even as a lifestyle vehicle, very few buy it nowadays. Blame it on pollution and global warming, but when you are presented with a good road and great weather, nothing can come close to the pleasures of driving a Cabriolet. When you take a first glance at the spec sheet of this car, the powertrain and performance figures, they don't shout out loud. But I've spent a good day driving this car, and let me tell you one simple thing. It just does not matter. This car is an occasion. The occasion takes precedence over the powertrain when you're at the right place at the right time. And that makes the CLE feel very, very special. But for all you thrill of driving folk out there, let me give you a few facts. The engine, well, it's a 2-liter turbo-petrol motor that gets a 48-volt mild hybrid system, and it makes 255 brake horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to a 9-speed torque converter that sends power to all 4 wheels. This car is not a very slow car actually. It's not an AMG. It does the 0 to 100 sprint in 6.6 seconds. That's because this is a mild hybrid and the integrated starter generator, it makes an extra 23 horsepower and 205 Newton meters of torque in short bursts. So you can feel speed in this car. It's not very, very quick, but it's good enough for this type of car. It's all about open top motoring in the CLE. It's all about having a good time. If you want an AMG though, there is the SL55 Roadster. This car's all about soaking it in. It's a nice long wheelbase 4-seat 2-door Cabriolet. Look at my smile. I've been smiling ever since I've sat in the driver's seat of the CLE Cabrio. I remember driving the e-Cabriolet last year. It was long and loose. It felt quite soft, rolled a fair bit. I mean, it served its purpose of being a nice show car. That's what Cabrios are. But the CLE It's also quite sporty. It is not an AMG, of course. This is a 300, so it doesn't make that much power, but it's still decently quick on a nice driving road. Mercedes has also put a lot of thought into making this a little more of a driver's car. So the dash, it tilts towards the driver. You can, like the SL55, change the angle of the screen, so when the roof is tucked in, you don't get the glare of the sun in this infotainment screen. Let me put it back because it's not that much of an issue right now, but otherwise the CLE Cabrio feels like a really nice place to be. Amazing cabin, the quality of materials is really top class, feels special. That 1.1 crore price tag, this is a CBU, so of course it's going to be pricey, but that's justifiable just because this car feels like an occasion every time you drive it. A few interesting touches that reduce the turbulence in the car. If you can see at the back, that curtain's pulling up. There's another flap over here on top of the windscreen that also pulls up to reduce the turbulence in the car. Feels quite nice when from the driver's seat, so you see my hair is not flying all over the place. Of course I have short hair, so I don't have to worry about that. Maybe someone with long hair is not going to feel it as much. It's a very lovely place to be, quite honestly, and that's why I really like this car. The CLE Cabrio is a daily driver in my opinion. It's practical, it's beautiful, you can drive it everywhere. It does so many things so very well. So let me make a little more sense of it as I conclude this review. Just this morning the weather was perfect. I had the roof tucked in and it was the best therapy session one can have. A Cabrio is great for your mental health. But now the sun is out and you can't drive a Cabrio with the roof down, and that's the story of India. You can't drive convertibles at many places in India, and that's why this is sold as a CBU in very small numbers. But find the right road and the perfect weather, and there's very little that can match the experience of driving a Cabrio. The CLE Cabrio especially, there's nothing like it in India. So if you enjoy open top motoring, this is the car for you. In a few weeks, the weather is going to be lovely and you could be driving down your favorite driving road with the top down in a CLE Cabrio. And remember, I told you at the beginning of this video, you could be doing that for free. Well, Mercedes is running a Dream Days campaign, and this is not a promotion, alright? This is a legit campaign that they're running where you could test drive any Mercedes car and enter a lucky draw in which you stand the chance to win a CLE Cabriolet for a year. Of course, there are going to be terms and conditions attached, like maybe not crash a free car. But besides that, isn't that a cool contest to win? So leave us a comment if you're going for a test drive of a Mercedes car after watching this video. See you next time.